Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you. And today we're going to talk about the best knife for cutting watermelon. And most of you have probably cut watermelon before. You've probably used something along these lines. This is just a cheap standard kitchen knife. It is long enough to pretty well reach across that watermelon. And this is probably the first thing I would reach for, but sometimes you need to cut a watermelon with a little more gusto. And for that, the kitchen knife is just not going to cut it. So I have some options over here, and we're going to be comparing and contrasting the performance of these various cutting tools to see how they do when they're put up against these rather dauntless and difficult watermelons. Now, not all of them are going to be ideal for cutting watermelon, but we're going to find out which is most ideal and perhaps as well which is least ideal. So let's go ahead and get started. I have some predictions to start off with. I think the Woodbuster, the BK9, and the Camp 18 are going to be your best bet for cutting watermelon, especially if you want to eat it after. The Line Steel T6 is going to come in somewhere maybe a little after those, and then we're going to have the Bark River Tracker, the I can never remember the name of these. They were weird names. There we go. The Kanji T-Hawk from CRKT. And lastly, unless you want to be able to cut the watermelon and eat it after in the same motion, I think the Spetsnaz shovel is going to be at the bottom of the list. But we're definitely going to find out. So let me rearrange things here just a little bit because we're only going to deal with these one at a time, and then we'll get into the testing. Okay, so first off, we're going to see how this watermelon does against a Kershaw Camp 18. And I mean, it is called a Camp 18, implying that, you can use it for all kinds of different camp chores. I am going to keep filming and talking. So let me just adjust this so I can get the best swing possible without interfering with the camera in any way. Okay, there we go. I think we're ready. That worked surprisingly well. I wasn't sure exactly what was going to happen, but look at this, a perfectly clean cut on that watermelon. I'm going to turn these over and try something else and see if anything else does as good of a job as that Kershaw Camp 18. All right, so I'm going to switch just to half a watermelon for the next offering here. This is the Bark River Tracker. I know tracking and cutting watermelon doesn't have a whole lot to do with one another, but anyway, my suspicion is that this won't be quite as clean a cut. So I didn't want to destroy a whole watermelon. Let's move this over so we can get a good look. Turns out it cuts better than I anticipated. There you go. Anyone up for a slice of watermelon? I think my kids will be home soon, so you'll have to share with them, but we're doing okay so far. Okay, now in a survival situation, you may not have all of these knives available to you. You may just have carried, your hatchet on your trip. So let's see if we can get some edible watermelon using a hatchet. Well, gonna need a little more force than that, guys. Okay. Yeah, you can see the handle becomes the real problem here. Now the Kanji does have the ability to be turned sideways, and perhaps this would be the way to go. Not the best slices of watermelon I've ever seen, but yeah, so I'm saying that the Kanji here is less than ideal for cutting up watermelon. Let me move this guy out of the way so I can clean it up and salvage some for the boys before they get home from school. All right, the next cutting tool on our list is going to be the Woodbuster. I have a strong suspicion that this is a pretty good watermelon buster as well, just because of the shape and profile of it. I'm confident, yeah, the performance is about as you would expect on that guy. Definitely a good tool to have around if you're processing some watermelon. Okay, next up is going to be the Lion Steel T6. Now, this is probably not my go-to for watermelon. Certainly, you know, if this is what you've got around your campsite, it's not going to be do a bad job. You can see, though, there's not quite enough reach. So we're going to see how we make out. Yeah, I'd say that was passable. And, you know, if you've got you and a friend, you know, you've got two pretty edible slices of watermelon at this point. The next up, again, I'm super confident in this, so I'm not going to get a whole nother watermelon for this. I'm just going to go ahead and cut right here because we basically know that the BK9 is going to work exceptionally well for this. Sorry for the lack of drama on that one, guys, but we'll bring a little more drama back for our last test option, and that is going to be the Spetsnaz shovel from Cold Steel. Okay, so shovels are generally used for digging, but I suppose once again you could get in a situation where this is the only thing you have on hand and you're just desperate to get inside that watermelon and eat some of that delicious pink goodness. And if that was your only option, how would you make out? You know, that's not the worst thing that I've ever seen. Maybe not the best either, but there you go. Watermelon slices for everybody. I should be fully honest here and disclose that I'm not a huge lover of watermelon, so I'm only cutting enough for everybody else to have. I'm not planning on eating any. All right, so there you go, guys. That's a quick comparison between all of these now messy cutting implements. You can see that most of them actually did pretty well. The worst performer, as predicted, was the CRKT Kanji there. That is not the tool for watermelon. So yeah, if you're, I don't know, stranded in a watermelon field and that's all you've got for survival, you could be in a lot of trouble. All of the other options, including the kitchen knife, would probably be just fine. All right, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you had a little bit of fun with that. I know I had a little bit of fun filming it. We'll talk to you soon.